Hi there, I'm Jen, this is Remembered Reads, and this is going to be my 2018 goals video. Coming up with 5 reading goals, writing goals, and booktube goals was the day 12 prompt for Adrian from Stripped Cover Lit's The 12 Days of Litmus. That prompt was supposed to go up on December 25th, which I obviously missed. I was figuring that I would miss it by 2 days, but it ended up being 5, but hey, c'est la vie, right? In any case, better late than never. Before I come up with any goals for the year, I should say I'm anticipating a couple of major lifestyle changes this year. For one, I am looking to make a bit of a career change. I've been freelancing for a couple of years and I'm looking to get back into a 9-to-5 type position. So once I do that, that is going to change the structure of my time. And it is hard for me to predict right now what I'm going to have time for and just general bandwidth for, especially because once I add a car commute, that's a major time suck to consider. And considering that I live in Houston, everything ends up with being a car commute. So the other issue is I may be doing a long distance move or relocation in the middle of the year, and I don't know how that's going to go. That's another huge adaptation that I'm going to have to make to my entire schedule because, you know. But in any case, enough with the excuses, let's talk about some goals. So, reading goals. This past year I had a goal on Goodreads of 100 books. I read, I think, just over 200. I'm going to keep it at 100 because I think that's a reasonable number given that I don't expect to have the same amount of free time this coming year as I did this past year. It might be something I revisit in the middle of the year. Last year I had a goal of trying to read more poetry, which I did. I think last year poetry constituted about 0.5% of my reading, and I think it was about 3%. No, I think it was about 2% this year. But still, that's definitely growth, but I'd like to get that to maybe 5% at least. Another goal that I had for the past year was I was trying to get my books read in English to be below 95% because they had been at about 99%. I think it's 97% right now, which is still, which again, as with the poetry, is an improvement, but not quite as much of an improvement as I would have liked. So I'm going to endeavor to get a little better at that as well. I am, at present, fairly satisfied with my ratios of things like prose to comics and fiction to nonfiction. I think the prose to comics are at about 2/3 to 1/3, and the fiction to nonfiction is about 60-40, which again I think is reasonable, and I'll attempt to keep that more or less. I had a bit of a goal at the beginning of last year to try to read more theater works, but to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of just reading plays. I do it, they're quick, it's fine, but I honestly don't find it as satisfying as seeing productions because I feel like that's the way you're supposed to see them. Obviously, if you don't have access to theater, that's one thing, but I usually do, so I feel like it's not so much a reading goal. I wouldn't mind having a goal of seeing more live theater, or even recordings, because I haven't made a particular effort to do that, and I noticed I didn't see any plays this year. No, that's not true. I saw Hamlet when we were in London. So I saw one play this year, but that is low for what I would normally do. So I think I've been lazy. I mean, I've been lazy in terms of live entertainment in general this year. I think I also only went to one opera and only went to 2 concerts. And one of them was one where I was just sort of filling in, so I didn't even know the band. The other one was Morrissey, who shockingly actually did his whole set. Anyway, yeah. So those are my reading goals. I don't know how I got distracted into the live entertainment at the end, but in terms of writing goals, I have done very little creative or fun writing over the past year, so that's definitely something that I've had a big decrease in that I'd like to slow that decrease. I have a blog which is primarily a photo blog, but I do write up description pieces. A few years ago I would be posting at least twice a week, and I think over the past year I posted less than once. Probably once every other month. And I do have sets of photos that I've taken for posts, and I just haven't written them up yet. So I would like to A, get caught up with that, and then B, get into a schedule of continuing with that. That would be goals 1 and 2. It's been years since I've tried to do NaNoWriMo, and I don't think I've actually completed one since 2009. And I did have a string of 4 years before that, but yeah, since then I haven't won, as they say. So I would like to try that again in November. And I think if I do end up in the sort of 9-to-5 corporate world again, I do think I'm going to attempt to schedule writing time for myself, or writing / creative time, because I know when I've had more structured time in the past. I have been better at that, and I would like to get back into that. I think, again, freelancing has made me incredibly lazy. I think it's one of those things where there's that cliche of if you want something done, you need to ask a busy person. And I think that's definitely true in my own life. The busier I am, the more I legitimately get done. And I've given myself too much free time, which is the kind of flexibility that I think a lot of people would like, but I'm just not good at dealing with that. I think I need more structure. I'm not sure if I'm up to 5, but those are the writing goals. In terms of Booktube goals, I would like to get caught up on tag videos, because I've been tagged in a number of videos going back, I think some are from the spring, and I just haven't done them yet. And I think some of them are seasonally linked, but I might as well just do them and get them done. So yeah, that would be number 1. I had an idea last year that I was going to do more individual book reviews and more discussions, and I think I did 1 review/discussion, and that was about it. I don't know if I should make that a goal again, because I don't know, I feel like that's one of those things where I think I should do it, but I don't know that I actually want to do it. So I think my goal would be to figure out if that's actually something I want to do. And yeah, because I certainly enjoy watching other people's discussions, but a lot of the time, by a certain point, you go, well, everybody said everything already. I don't know that people add to anything after that, which is why I haven't done them, in part, and in part because of laziness. But another goal, depending on what city I end up in later this year, I would like to record some more book-related events. I did take some video at the Gulf Coast Indie Book Fair back in the spring. I ended up not having much video for it, and that was, I think it was my least viewed video this past year, but I think I could put together a more entertaining package for that if I put some effort into it. And also there are a couple of other cities that we might end up in, and I don't want to say ahead of time because I don't know what's actually happening, but depending on that, I will have larger scale events that I could maybe film. So if I am there for things like that, I think I'm going to try to do that. In 2016, when I spent that 4 months in Toronto, I did regret not having a camera with me when I went to a reading for the Toronto Book Awards, and I think that's definitely the kind of event that would be interesting to be able to share bits of. So I'd like to make more of an effort to do that, even if it does end up being my least viewed video of the year. I'd also like to give doing a buddy read a try. I've been very kind of negative about that because I always feel like I'm bad about reading on other people's schedules, but I think I could pull it off, and I think I should stop making excuses. I also had a couple of suggestions this year from people about doing overviews of certain types of books, things like military memoirs or specific subgenres within comics, and I have never done that, so I would like to give that a go. So that would be, I think, my final Booktube goal. So those are going to be my goals for the year, at least so far. I think I will have to revisit them mid-year because, as I said, I don't know where I'm going to be and what my schedule is going to look like in general, but we'll see. We all know how people are about New Year's resolutions. It's like when you go to the gym on the first week of January and it's packed, and by February, they're all gone. But I guess it's great because they're subsidizing you for the rest of the year, so that's nice. How good are you at keeping to goals? I don't know. Maybe I'm overly cynical. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.